Quite a cackle to start the show. Charles, it's autumn.
It is indeed. It is indeed. It's September 25th, 2021. We're walking uptown on Fifth Avenue, next to the famous junk shops and empty shops and hotels that nobody's going to anymore, because who would want to come to New York?
Well, I must. Oh, look at this thing.
What thing?
That bizarre Mercedes.
Huh.
It's a Galanda wagon converted into a, I don't know, you can transport cattle in the back of that or something.
Well, little kids, what they're doing.
Likewise. But Charles, it's almost jacket weather. Not to be confused with jacket potatoes, which I don't even know what that is, but British people talk about it.
I believe I got the message about the jacket weather.
What do you mean?
I'm wearing it.
Right. But it's kind of cool. It's about 70 degrees. It's very nice. Like, autumn is maybe the nicest time of the year in New York, and we're at the absolute peak.
Right.
Not peak foliage, but peak, like, you don't need a jacket, but it's not too hot.
Yeah, and it's just normally just as this seasons start changing, that's when the flu comes again.
Oh, that's right. It's the start of flu season.
And that's when we also will start to see more and more people, sadly, on the street. Homeless people, dirty homeless people, struggling homeless people, while the homeless care apparatus either pretends to work or shows up in the office or both and doesn't do anything, does sweet fuck all to solve the problem. But
when are we going to review the Cuomo family role in exacerbating the homeless problem through charity fraud?
We're going to do that. I think that's best done in
studio
HQ, because we want to go through the
right.
But we've heard a lot of chatter about how things are great. Look at this, for lease. You'll love the tacos where you live. Hey, what is this? It's an advertisement for DoorDash next to a cart, which I doubt is paying any sales tax. So you could be collecting rent and tax on rent and profit and all that kind of stuff. Instead, you've got this. Another, that used to be Staples, I think.
Are we on Fifth?
We are.
Yeah, no, this is the building that was CompUSA at one point.
Right, but I think that then, maybe it's the next one is Staples, but I mean, you just see all these empty storefronts, and in my experience, it takes quite a while. Once somebody makes a decision to leave, and then you have an empty space, it takes quite a while for the brave soul to come back and say, you know what, I think I'd love to sign up for a mega lease here. So next to another empty place, and this, a lot of times you will see empty frontline space in a series of buildings when somebody has accumulated the buildings and is about to knock them down. But I don't think that's the case there.
This is pretty new, this building.
No, that was Staples. This is the former B. Altman's, I think. Not B. Altman's, Lord & Taylor.
No, that was further up.
It's right there.
Because Lord & Taylor was an older building. My grandmother used to
No,
work
that one right there, ahead of us.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant this.
No, that
this
one.
This thing with the CVS in it was CompUSA.
Yeah, and but Staples was in there because I used to go print stuff out.
CompUSA.
Yeah.
And then, this was, wow, they're really gutting the building there, the Lord & Taylor.
As a guess, they'll turn that into expensive condos and co-ops, or try to.
Huh.
Because it's pretty well located.
A huge amount of space there.
Well, if you are going to work in New York, if you're hostage to working in New York, and you either want to live next to your office or have a pied-à-terre in New York, this is not a bad location.
Not at all. And Charles Lewis Rossman, who has his Rossman Repair Group, has fixed a number of phones for me. He came out with a video that I think was pretty insightful. He's a smart guy, and also as an independent businessman in New York City, he knows a lot of things that people who are maybe 28 when they get to Congress and have never had their own business and really don't know anything about the business world beyond being a waitress, which I'm not disparaging. It's an honest job, but it doesn't exactly prepare you for a leadership role necessarily.
It does in the Democratic Party.
Correct. Carrying water.
Oh no, here's the Staples. I got that wrong. Okay, so
Yeah, but what Louis Rossmann was talking about, you know, he made a conscious decision to keep his highly skilled technicians employed during the lockdown.
right.
You know, his company is all about, there's a million tiny little things in your computer that cost like 5 cents each, and if one of them, surface mount components, if one of them fails, your whole computer won't work. And the general attitude is they want to charge you for a new motherboard or a new whatever that costs several $100s. This guy's store can usually repair a surface level component much less expensive and get it going. So he's got skilled people who are working for them, and he made the choice, I guess, to dip into his own personal savings and keep them on staff.
Smart.
He had a very good point, though. He was saying that, and I've had this feeling myself, you know, when you run your own business, you sometimes get to these moments where it's so challenging, you just sort of say, you know, I wish I just worked for somebody else where they would tell me what to do and I would do it and I would get a check and go home and be done. And there's a certain relief in that. And what Rossmann was pointing out is that when people who are making that decision to work for somebody else, when they realize that they actually have no job security,
Right.
and that at any moment they could lose that perceived, I'll just work for somebody else and get paid, it causes them during that 2 or 3 month period to say, you know what, I'm not coming back to work for you because I started my own thing out of necessity and it's going much better, or whatever. So this is like a permanent change to the way New York City works and the way people work in New York City.
You mean the way New York City doesn't work?
Correct. It's a failure mode. Now, the other thing we should talk about, Charles, because we haven't addressed it at all, Trumpy II.
The art department triumphs again.
Well, thank you, but not so much about the art department, but like, why have we selected Trumpy II as the movie for today?
Well, I think you agree that Donald Trump more or less signaled last night at the rally in Georgia that while he officially is not going to go out and say, I'm in, we should assume that he's in. And judging certainly by the number of emails I get asking for money for this committee and that committee and this and that and whatever for Trump, I think he's properly zeroed in on the fact that we're past a tipping point here. If we let these morons continue to do what they have been doing in the first 8 months of the Biden administration, there's going to be nothing left by 2024 of this country. And so the first thing we have to do as a nation of concerned citizens, forget political parties. I don't like either party, and I don't see the necessity for a political party. And the fact that Trump went in, and I think in 2016 he earned a mandate, and folks like Paul Ryan and the other Never Trump Republicans kneecapped him alongside the deep state, tells me that we need to start from scratch. It's probably better to be not necessarily a party of Trump, but an independent party that instead of getting involved in 1,000 different policy positions, pick the 5 or maybe 10 most important things that need to get done quickly to make this country not only great, livable.
Yeah, it's a disaster right now.
Yeah. I mean, and commentators are finally saying what you and I have been thinking and seeing, and that is that this assault of the virus and the ham-handed reaction, shall we wait? Or?
Oh yeah, we only got 3 seconds there.
The ham-handed reaction of all sorts of mixed messages, and now requiring that people in the military and people in health services and other things demonstrate that they've taken 1, 2, or 3 jabs or give up their jobs is causing a large number of very important people to just say, you know what, F that. F the jab, I'm not doing that. F your job, I'm going to do something else.
Right.
And, you know, in China, I don't think, I mean, I've only been to one small part of China in my life. I've been to Hong Kong a lot. But I don't know that China is filled with the same number of people who would question authority the way Americans do.
I don't think at all.
Yeah.
That's like cultural difference.
So on the one hand, we have a nation filled with people on the right, left, middle, etc., who opening position would rather not even think about politics and are waiting, what's the sports season, how's my team doing, how are my kids doing, how's my family doing?
Where can I get a COVID test in the gutter?
Yeah. Does this come with an extra helping of smog?
I just cannot get over how ridiculous that is, Charles. If you ever asked your doctor, hey, can we do this blood test out in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Do you mind doing this throat culture
in the bathroom?
In the garage? Right. It's like they're just not going to do it.
Next to the Christian Dior fake bag sale?
That's all Louis Vuitton.
No, that's Christian Dior.
Oh,
here's
is it? Here's the Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, and Gucci. It used to be we'd get 1 or 2 of these per block. Now we got 3. So back on Trumpy, first of all, hats off to a guy who's, what is he now, 73?
I think he's older than that. He's 74, isn't he?
I don't know. Hats off to a guy who can stand up, first of all, at that age. And we don't know what he had been doing during the day. He generally, I thought, got
Golf,
up
right?
Well, I don't know. He generally gets up pretty early in the morning and goes to sleep late at night. He had to get from wherever he was down to Georgia. And he took the stage at about 7:30 p.m. last night. I turned him off, I want to say at like 8:40 or 8:45, when he started going through the litany of introductions. Here's the local dog catcher, here's this, here's that.
Yeah.
But, I thought his performance...
I thought it was very good.
Compared to, let's say, somebody who spends, look at that, no traffic more or less, 312 on Fifth Avenue, compared to somebody who's, say, a professional MC, right? I thought he was very impressive compared to that. Now, he did have the benefit of a prompter, which he may or may not have followed script on.
He's on and off of it throughout.
But you contrast that with Joe Biden, who shows up late for a meeting, sits down.
Can't remember anybody's name who's there.
Yeah, oh yeah, this the leader of that fellow down under.
Fellow New Yorkers have noticed.
Yeah. And then he,
I was just smiling.
And then he gets off at the end. Good, thank you. He gets off at the end of it, and his handlers are saying, "Mr. President, come on over here to the right." He goes to the left.
That's just so stupid.
Displaying his natural inclinations of always veering to the left.
Now wait a second here.
What?
For some reason, Rumble is black.
Let's go. We can stop and see if there's a...
No, I don't want to do that. There's just all kinds of...
Rumble is the new black?
Apparently, and it's just the phone insists on having Bluetooth on.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
Well, I'm trying to let people know that they can watch us on rumble.com/user/CS-the-truth. But I don't know if that's correct right now. It doesn't seem to be working. Let's just make sure we're live on YouTube. I don't know. I'm really unhappy with the...
Cook?
Yeah.
Just if we can finish the thought on...
Here we go.
We're good?
Yeah.
We finished the thought on Trump. So, he was very good substantively. He was very good at holding an audience.
It's working on Rumble, Charles. Very good at holding the audience.
Which is, I've never come close to trying to hold a gigantic mass audience out there where...
He interacts with the crowd, too.
It's just so natural. And again, he's not young. So to stand up there and do all that, to make the points that he was making as cogently as he did. Now, we should address this issue of election results in Arizona.
Well, we got to be very careful how we speak about that here, because we can talk about things that the former president said, I suppose, but
I'll do it generically, just to say what I was impressed with on that, and I'm being sent questions to answer on this topic tomorrow morning, so there should be something in print where I can express my views. Interestingly, the questions are coming from a Russian organization.
Well, they allow you to express your views and use the First Amendment, but American media does not.
Yeah. So what he basically was going through, and it really was a flagrant foul on the part, another set of flagrant fouls on the part of the mainstream media, where they announced a result off of a draft that basically said, with all his hooting and hollering, Biden got more votes, there's nothing to it. And let's just say when you read the detail, and I haven't tried to examine the underlying detail, but when you read the more detailed analysis, the math would suggest that there's an enormous amount of squishiness in the vote count total.
Well, and he went through in great detail where each anomaly had been identified. He mentioned the number 3,390. And I was like, wait a minute now, who the hell tabulated that? Because that's both the 9-3 society and a 33 in there. But keep going, because there's one particular point I want to ask you about what you've done.
So the basic way I look at it, and I think this is a generic and fair way to think about the issue. When the margin of victory is slim, the question is, what is the relationship of contested, anomalous, whatever you want to call them, dirty ballots to the margin of victory?
I hate that question. You shouldn't ask me that. We got Lulov hoodlums out on the street here, Charles.
Oh, no. But the relationship of the margin of victory to the number of contested or suspicious ballots is a fair thing to notice. It's the kind of metric that I follow in valuing securities. When you see in a fair election, you should not have really tight margin of victory and gigantic numbers of suspicious ballots, right? A clear mandate, you'd see.
Well, you also shouldn't have any compunctions about checking the results.
Right, and you should see if it's a clear, that Biden and the Dems want to claim a mandate, which they don't really have.
Yeah.
If you want to
Well,
claim,
it would have to be a person date.
All right, exactly. Person with either functioning.
It identifies as a mandate.
Watch it.
This guy's waiting until the last possible moment.
No, we got it. You'd want to see a convincing margin of victory. The kind of victory, let's say, that you see, and I'm not joking now, in North Korea.
Dirt bike.
I mean, when you see Kim Jong-un winning by 99 to 1,
right,
and there's no contested ballots, I mean, that's a fake clear mandate. But when you see Ronald Reagan kicking Walter Mondale's ass to Hawaii, Alaska, winning in New York and California, and there being not that many contested ballots in 1984, that's a mandate. Okay, so he went into some considerable depth on that, and he also made the absolutely fair points. The turnout, and maybe it's because the votes were thrown out, but the turnout amongst those who should have been afraid of the Joe Biden, in quotes, program. By the way, I should start imitating Jen Psaki's mannerisms. You know what she does to the podium? She'll say, now, Jason, I think you need to understand that what we believe is this, not that, this. What are you talking about?
She always seems nervous, like she's been caught in a lie to me.
Wow.
Because frequently that seems to be what's happening.
I mean, you remember the Geico commercials with the Pinocchio?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about here. It's like there are not enough Pinocchios left.
Well, but there's something else very important that he said that I want to ask you about.
Go for it.
So he was talking about Afghanistan, and he said, this is super interesting, that Milley had said to Trump that it would cost more to take the military equipment than it would cost to leave it there.
He's an idiot.
And Trump said that was the moment that he first started to think that Milley was stupid.
That was the moment?
Trump thinks like a business person. And he says, all right, sometimes you hear things in business that are a bit surprising, but when you look at them, it's like, maybe that's correct. But so then Trump said, well, why don't we just fly them to Pakistan? Or why don't we fly them to some other country nearby where it could cost less, but we would at least, I mean, even if it costs the same amount to take it out of the hands of the enemy, there's a lot about that I don't know, or I can't evaluate something Milley would say. But what I found interesting about it, Charles, is Trump revealing that Mark Milley was already working on a plan to screw up Afghanistan?
For a while. I mean, one of the things I remember from business school, and now it's quite a while ago that I started out there and finished there, is just this type of analysis where they say, don't just look at the cost of spending money, look at the cost of inaction.
Right.
And the cost of inaction or bad action of leaving all that stuff there, we have created a jihadist, just like the Obama administration with dumb Joe Biden in it, should have made an issue of eradicating slavery around the world. Instead, they created the largest slave market in Africa, in Libya. I mean, and now what you're doing is you're creating the largest market for used American military.
Some of it's probably not even used.
Yeah, state-of-the-art American military equipment, which generally we don't sell.
Right.
Certainly not to jihadists.
Right. Or Chinese or Iran.
And Milley, to me, I've met a few generals. I mean, the ones I've met have been nice, but remember he made that big deal when Trump went to that famous the church, and Milley was next to him.
Right.
And then he apologized for doing that. You know, I would have shit-canned him right there.
Hell, he should have.
Because, I mean, the point here is that military is supposed to be out of politics. And he wasn't in politics. Nobody thought of him going to the church as a military statement. But the second he scored political points against Trump, that's when he became political. You know, and I say, listen, go get your fucking ass out of here. Go work for General Dynamics, which is what you want to do anyway.
Well, that's where he's going. Something like that, I'm sure.
I hope he's going to end up on a cardboard box out here begging for money.
Did you know that I one time had a phone conversation years and years ago with a lawyer for General Dynamics because we had made a 3D model of a Predator drone and we're selling it in a marketplace for 3D objects, and they were like, hey, you can't sell that.
Huh. And they had your address and they threatened to drone strike you, or?
They didn't threaten to drone strike me, but they threatened the marketplace that sold the 3D. I mean, this is like if I drew a picture of a Predator drone and you know, smoked a bunch of crack and then sold it for $500,000, and then they said, oh no, you can't sell that. Yeah. But this is my artwork. I'm allowed to sell it. I don't know. Anyway, eventually I was allowed to sell it. Yeah. But they were jerks. I was like, aren't you making billions of dollars blowing people up? Why do you care if I sell this picture for $150?
Because we're warlords. So we're headed to one of Trump's many properties. We've been there before. We're blocks away. Ladies or gentlemen who come to New York, or ladies who like to buy their own jewelry. Across the street there we have Cartier, which is extremely overpriced, but nonetheless very beautiful stuff. It's kind of stuff where if you have the money to buy it, you buy it, you give it to somebody, and then 25 years later,
you're arguing over it.
No, I'm saying, assuming you remain happily married, or you know, in a team, you look at it. I mean, I know I gave Clarissa quite a lot of nice jewelry that has ended up with my kids, and they took I think it's a Piaget watch, thinking it was like $200 watch or something that. I know. I'd completely forgotten about it myself.
That could be worth 20, 30, 50,000.
Yeah. But it was, I got it for her because I thought it was beautiful. She should have a nice present. So.
Watches are worth a lot. I like Cartier because Cartier invented the wristwatch.
Is that right?
Well, that's what I read in the book Wings of Madness. Apparently, Cartier developed the wristwatch for Alberto Santos Dumont. Do you know who that is?
Remind me.
Well, you should know because of your Brazilian heritage. He was a Brazilian inventor and aviator.
Oh, right.
Did most of his work in France. And around the turn of the century, like 1890s, he was really focused on dirigibles, lighter than air flight.
Yeah.
And he did a controlled flight around the Eiffel Tower 2 years before the Wright brothers. And in South America and Europe, he's considered the inventor of flight, and you know, they kind of like don't like the Wright brothers.
Something going on over there. I think it's possible the wristwatch was invented.
Oh, yeah. What the hell is going on?
I don't know. American flag. Heading away from Trump Tower.
Do you know what that event is?
South American movie.
Oh, really? It's a very interesting story, the tale of Alberto Santos Dumont. use of airplanes as machines of war in World War I.
It's Peruvian, I think.
I see, isn't that an Argentina flag?
I don't know. I mean, you see that those addresses? I mean, those dresses, those shawls, maybe.
Yeah.
You have all these people with flowers.
Should we see what it's about? Oh, wow.
It's one big super spreader event.
I don't mind.
We keep going this way, so it's
Sure. Well, thankfully we have a police officer not texting. She's actually doing the right thing, keeping her eyes on the grid. Do you know what this event is, officer?
It's a procession, a religious procession.
For what?
Like a saint.
Okay.
At the end, you're going to see their paramedical saint.
Ah,
And they're just going to
thank you. It's
What
a
it-
religious procession for whatever saint they have a picture of at the end of it. So I guess it's Peru and Argentina. I think I saw the Colombian flag as well.
it's pretty busy all of a sudden.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're coming up to Trump Tower. Did you make an appointment, Donald, or
No, I didn't make an appointment with the Donald. Is he in there?
I doubt it.
Where? Well, no, right. He's going to be in Georgia, or maybe he's gone from Georgia. But
He might. Well, it's beginning to be hurricane season in Florida. He might be in New Jersey.
there's
That's
some-
quite a large number of
something-
people.
I think someone in the audience will recognize what that is on these flags.
But remember, a year ago we could walk around here and there'd be very few people.
Well, I am happy that people are now engaging in, whatever this is,
Mayhem.
enjoying themselves and everything. Yeah, there's a lot more people out. We got twins in that thing, Charles.
I know. Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Or?
Right.
So you were asking me a question. I was starting to answer it. And we got
Millie.
Yeah, Millie. I mean, I have great respect for the enlisted people. If you think about it, you're making a decision to put your body at grave risk and peril, and be under mine and everything else, and your family's going to worry about you. You're definitely going to be underpaid for a long period of time. On the other hand, you'll get a lot of skills. You'll get educational benefits. You get health care. And so the enlisted people, I have a high regard for. As you get into the highly political middle and upper management teams in these vast military bureaucracies, I think it's a fair question to ask, why do we need so many generals?
How many are there?
A lot.
This is obviously some kind of elaborate.
How can, there must be some, that's the saint, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe it's got something to do with the San Gennaro Festival.
Well, maybe.
Is that only Italian? I don't know anything about these saints.
Maybe somebody will let us know.
So Millie, he's one of the numerous generals who are.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the number of bases, we ask ourselves, it'd be one thing if America went into Afghanistan 75 years ago, 85 years ago, and for whatever reason, the country couldn't get up on its feet and couldn't become a real country exporting or whatever, but they had done the world a debt of gratitude by helping us stamp out Hitler or helping us stamp out the emperor in Japan. We say, well, let's leave a force there, because if we don't have a force there, the whole place is going to blow up. I don't see that argument holding in Germany. Right.
Right.
I mean, I just
do fine without us.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've had.
They're making supercharged station wagons, Charles. They seem to know what they're doing.
We've had 2 world wars involving Germany, where they've been on the wrong side. We've been there now a long time, and it's expensive as hell to keep all our troops there.
Well, just
and
even the
support-
salary to pay them, right?
Well, and all the support staff and the maintenance and the construction and you know, why the Germans can invent great Mercedes cars. They can invent.
I think they invented the supercharger.
They have all sorts of high-tech things that they've invented. It's a cohesive society, supposedly peace-loving.
Isn't it the best economy in Europe now?
Well, that's like saying, I don't know, that's the best. I don't want to get in too much trouble here, but that's like
Best
saying you're,
sandwich in that garbage can.
oh,
over
you're
there.
the smartest guy in the Obama cabinet. I mean, it's like, no, the European economy is
But it's a functional economy as compared to other nations.
I wouldn't really go that far. It's got a massive socialist bureaucracy. It has city bureaucracies and then regional bureaucracies and state bureaucracies and the federal bureaucracy, and then it was part of the EU creating bureaucracies
That
there.
camera was just facing the wrong way. Did you see that?
Yeah, and the UN. And so I think I would guess if you went in and looked at the average profit margin of a German company compared to the average profit margin of a U.S. company, very much worse than ours. And
But us being there militarily isn't
makes no
helping
sense.
that.
I know, it makes no sense. Just say, listen, you know, remember, we don't do well when you fight us, so don't do that.
Right.
And we're leaving. And I wouldn't leave the way Biden left, you know, not telling anybody.
Although if you did that in Germany, the impact would be sort of like nothing. And if you did it in Afghanistan, the impact was you created a power vacuum that the Taliban filled immediately.
Well, so in Germany, for example, one difference that I think still exists there is that when a private company goes out of business, it has substantial continuing obligations to the workers and maybe the communities, et cetera. You can't just shut the doors and say, you know, I'm not going to pay the workers for a while. You got to do that. And if we were just peremptorily to leave Germany, we leave behind all the maintenance contracts that are supporting the bases and probably put a lot of private German companies in trouble,
Right.
which the state would be none too pleased.
So see that you've just hit on it right there, is that there's such a substantial force, military force and workforce and just people there who become integrated with the German economy.
Right.
That if you leave now, it's just like sucking out a segment of the population.
Right. And so, but the question is, I mean, I would hear if we heard, you know, those Canadians, they're rambunctious, they're like the old Vikings back 1,400
What
years
Canadians?
ago. I'm just making a story up now. You know, if we had a grievous set of conflicts involving Canada, where the Canadians had kicked our asses, you know, going back centuries or decades, and we decided to put bases up there to stop that from happening again, I would suppose I could sign on to the argument of containing those pesky Canadians with American military bases, but that's never happened.
To do that. No, they're secret deals with Mao Zedong and.
But they're not fighting us.
Yeah, but we need to find out what happened at that Winnipeg lab. You're right, they're not, but they're
we
a little
don't-
sneaky, those Canadians.
Not all, but many. Anyway, so
Canadian rulers.
right. So my point is, we're not sitting here. You tell the story about how when you told me the story when you downsized. You don't sit there and say, you know, I'm hemorrhaging money. I think I'll hire McKinsey for $10 million a year to figure out.
Holy crap! I can't afford any of this stuff. I gotta get out of here.
Gone, right. And similarly, we're sitting here, we've got A.O. dumb as a thick plank tree, C, and telling us we got to spend $93 trillion on the Green New Deal, $3.5 trillion this year on some new crazy ass plan, on top of another 1.5 and this and that. It's just out of control. It's out of freaking control, and so we should look around. You know, I may be pushing on an open door. Our, in quotes, allies, after the way we fled Afghanistan, probably don't want to work too closely with us anymore.
I wouldn't.
Anyway, I certainly wouldn't. And you put the way he did it, just destroys the ability of the. You want to go through the Parker?
Yeah.
Destroys
Beautiful day.
the ability of the military leaders, such as they exist, to manage our own troops, but then to work in concert with our allies. So, you know, I'd be saying, to the Japanese, look, we love you. You're great people. In
Can we get
Okinawa,
some more wasabi with this?
in Okinawa, you were trying to kick us out a long time ago. We're leaving.
Charles, not to be ADD, but I can't help it. Do you know what that is, right?
What? That's the
It's-
Metropolitan Club.
No, right next to it, the site of event 201. That's
Oh, that's the Pierre.
Hotel.
Sure. Yeah. Nice hotel, by the way.
It is. I had brunch in there one time. It was amazing.
That's fantastic. Yeah. There used to be apartments in there. I don't know if there still are. Phenomenally expensive to buy them, and then the maintenance. It's a hotel, so the maintenance is absurd.
Probably you get a maid there every day, though.
Well, I'm talking about whatever the normal maintenance would be for the size apartment. Try multiplying it by three to 5 times.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised by that. I mean, it's definitely not an economy. It's not a value prospect over there. But if you have a lot of money and want all the lobster you can eat, it's a good place to go for brunch.
If you have a lot of money and want to solve that problem and have less of it,
Yeah, go there.
go there. Yeah.
All right, so we're in the park now. That kid
Is that-
doesn't
isn't that
seem too happy about it.
It's AOC. She didn't get her tax break.
Do you feel like we're in France now for a minute?
Sort of.
That seems to be a popular thing, the accordion.
No, it's
Man, that kid is screaming like crazy.
Poor kid, yeah. Obviously, it's probably a dirty diaper or some other problem. But you generally, when I wasn't exactly an active kid manager, I had teams that did that. But when I was on my own occasionally, there are a few things you check right away when a kid starts screaming that loudly.
Diaper.
Diaper is definitely one of them.
That loud of a scream from a dirty diaper?
If you're chafing down there, if you're, if your diaper is like cut into your, not like cut, but pinching your
Something's wrong.
legs, or
Well, what's step 2 to check for a scream that loud?
whether a stranger's bothering or kid, kid can have thrown up or something. There are all sorts of things that could happen. But let's speak of nicer things than that.
Yeah, no, I think we're done with that. But if people want a caricature, this is a place you can come to. We got a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, we're coming up on the Children's Zoo,
Right.
and I think that's funky violinist Yo-Yo Not Ma.
Well, that was pretty good violining, I think.
Oh,
No?
that's a pop tune.
And now here we have some balloon making. I have a really awesome 3D shot when we were doing that 3D thing of the Christos.
Oh
gates.
yeah, you were in the park then?
Yeah, and there was some guy inflating balloons, like those kind of kid balloons where balloon animals.
That's a TV show. That's all.
Is
New
it?
York, in New York City.
Oh, it's Arthur when you get caught between
Yeah,
the balloon
yeah.
and New York City.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guy inflates the balloon right to camera, and it was a real wow moment that I used on the demo reel for many years.
Nice. So yeah, this is truly a nice place. I wish we could go into the chimpanzee pen.
And they have feces thrown at
Well,
us?
that's what's going to happen this week in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
I mean, that's
exactly.
exactly what's going to happen. They have all these like high-sounding political analyses of why September 30th is so important and the urgency of doing this and the urgency of doing that. You don't need to write any words. Just take a
Have the monkeys.
clip for like 120 seconds. And this is Democrats on Democrats. It's progressives on moderates and conservatives fighting about tactics this week. And one thing I've learned the hard way is that when you go into any kind of debate or battle in a public setting where people are going to watch actively what you're doing and try to decide should they support you or not, you don't say, my fundamental position is this, but I'm willing to compromise.
Zoo traffic is up, Charles.
I know.
This is an interesting zoo because it's not that large and there's not a huge number of animals here, but for some reason I have always really liked coming to this little zoo.
Yeah, this, as I think I've told you before, I believe it's this building back in the day where I used to come to buy my permit to play tennis in Central Park, and it was
Right.
not air conditioned and typically extremely hot and gross in there as you waited online. Now you don't have to do that.
Well, and you know, for people who have seen the animated movie Madagascar, they actually they did a remarkably accurate job of reproducing an animated version of this zoo.
Yeah. And this is where I think the seals or whatever they are.
Former polar bear area.
Is that
now.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really considerably smaller than most other zoos, but it's a nice thing to have here in the middle of Central Park.
Here's somebody who's left. What is that? A fleece?
Yeah. Fleece, don't fail me now.
It's not, those things are, you know, not trivially. They're not super expensive.
Hey, did you guys leave a jacket over there on the bench?
Nope, not ours. Thanks, though.
Well, somebody forgot the jacket.
Yeah, no, I think these are the chimpanzee pens, aren't they?
This is
Used to be.
It's a movie theater.
The pens, or maybe they're up
4D.
here. 4D. What's 4D?
That's 3D movie and they shoot water in your face. It's the stupidest thing.
Is that really?
Yeah, and they shake the chairs and everything. It's pretty annoying, 4D. I was fighting against 4D when I was in Hollywood.
Why don't they have 40D? Well, they do, I suppose.
Just watch it 10 times.
They have 40D, but that's a different subject.
Yes, exactly. Different type of film entirely, Charles. Talk about that on another podcast.
Exactly. But this
So Howard Stern was railing against Joe Rogan.
yeah, and Howard Stern has made enough money. He's got a hot wife. He's got a big life. He should just STFU.
Yeah, he's gone way off the deep end. He's a rare example of somebody who used to really like and enjoy and find funny. And now I can't stand him. You know, something else weird about this that I didn't notice last time, but now that we're here, they depict a child playing with some goats there.
I don't think isn't that Pan or something?
It is, and then look, we've also got this swirling symbol here.
It's a serpent. Yeah.
Well,
I think
it's
there's quite a.
interesting. And then
Right.
peacocks.
Quite a crew here. Isn't this where AOC lives?
I don't know. The children's zoo.
But yeah, so we're on the subject of Trump and what's he going to do. I think he's focused on no more compromises with the never Trump wing of the Republican Party, and certainly no compromise with the asshat crazy wing of the Progressive Democrat Party. It's just enough of this. These ideas don't make any sense. They're proven failures. If you definitely want to fail, vote for AOC. You want to fail, vote for Bernie Sanders. Because he knows how to fail.
A lot of experience with that.
He's a lifelong failure. And so
It's like a magic show over here, Charles.
sit at Blue Line for show, yeah. I actually know that guy. There was a bar years ago I used to go to, a Barrow Street bar, and he
Ale
was
House.
well, no, that's
Isn't it called the Barrow Street?
there
Ale
is
House?
a Barrow Street Ale House. That's closer to Washington Place. This is over by Hudson.
Oh, nice. McLaren.
And he's a very industrious guy, that guy. He has all kinds of odd jobs. And he's very good actually with magic and kids and stuff.
Cool.
Forget his name though.
Well, but so back to Trump, though, it seems quite clear that he's going to run. I mean, it was a little bit up in the air, but I mean, last night,
Yeah.
it seems clear he will, right?
I hope this time if he does run, that he says to his family, look, no, you're not going to be involved this time. I've got.
Russian collusion, Charles.
That's right.
But
Well, that's where. Well, this is not far away from Trump Tower, so this must be.
Yeah, obviously.
Forget the secret server. This
Yeah.
is where the messages were sent. In those, what are they called? Dolls? Or
Those are called Matryoshka.
Matryoshka dolls. So he probably would send Michael Cohen. He wasn't in Czechoslovakia or Prague. He was over getting the Matryoshka doll
He was in
message.
Ukraine getting taxi medallions.
He was up his ass pretending he made any sense. But I think this time, what would make a lot more sense so that you didn't have this sense that it was a Trump family-run government.
Right.
You just say, listen, Your kids are growing now. Ivanka, you need to spend time with them. Jared, you've had your one turn. You want to run for
I
president?
feel like he would rely on Jared, which would be a mistake.
Well, again, I think he should bring in people, and he's got time now to really test them out, decide if they're going to be loyal or not, and if he trusts them or not. And put in, I say this, I don't mean it physically, but killers. You know, people who will look at a problem and say, I see the problem, I don't need a McKinsey study, I don't need your, on the one hand, on the other hand, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it on January 20th, 2025. To give you a sense of that, and I'm jumping around a bit, and looking through the timeline, when Bill Clinton was sworn in on January 20th, 1993, on that day, he shit-canned the head of the IRS. On that day.
Really? Because he needed to get his criminal person in. Did he put in
Yeah,
Lois Lerner?
he put in, no, a close friend of Hillary's, one of her closest.
So they had their plan from the jump.
And then just let me finish.
Yeah.
And then he also shit-canned all the sitting 93 U.S. attorneys.
First
and
time anybody ever did that.
And the FBI head eventually.
First time anybody ever did that.
Yeah, and so that's the kind of approach Trump will need to take, because they're setting up right now to bag him again, right? To kneecap him should he win.
The problem is how do I say this without having to do every single future show on Subscribestar and Patreon? They've kind of got it locked up where how's he even going to get in there?
Well, again, if the markets stay high, if incomes go up, if inflation stops, if we have peace, those are big ifs.
You're talking about legitimate.
Well, no, I'm saying you'll have a set of conditions where people are going to say enough of this bullshit. I mean, the only people who believe that Joe Biden is doing a good job now are drunker than Jerry Lewis and Buddy Hackett and Dean Martin.
There are some people who are so confused and indoctrinated by disinformation and social engineering campaigns in the mainstream news that they actually think that what's happening is okay.
Well, I mean, again, I'm talking about the mass of humanity. If you're sitting there and you're not a billionaire, you're not a millionaire, let's go around to...
Brazilian.
Bossa Nova. Maybe we'll hear a girl from Ipanema. I like Bossa Nova, Charles. But it's jazz.
It's nice. Brazilian music is nice, especially in their winter, which is our summer. I mean,
sitting on the beach.
Our summer, our winter, their summer. Yeah, listening to that, caipirinha in hand, getting ready to go to the, what are those things called?
Churrascaria.
Churrascaria, yeah.
The caipirinha is a bit strong for me, but...
You can make them without alcohol. You can.
That's too much sugar in it.
Well, ask them for less sugar. Or have a Coke.
We'll have a glass of ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's a lot of people out enjoying the nice weather.
Don't see any Karens.
Early days of autumn.
You know, I mean, when we first would go out, you get all these scowling looks. Wear a mask.
You're right. No one's saying that.
Yet.
Far fewer people here in the park.
So I started to say that what Trump is, I think, what I heard him say is, there's not a lot of time between now and November 2022.
Yes.
And we've got to be smart in who we back, who we pick off. I mean, I'm loving the fact that these idiotic, never Trump Republicans who voted.
Now I think it's back.
So actually what I was going to say, Jason, as you were going on, that he did not do this, he did not do that, you were kind of in a cadence of a Dr. Seuss story there. He did not...
Yeah, he didn't do anything green eggs in ham. But before we got cut off, what I was pointing out is that Right Side Broadcasting is the latest crew to be brought to you by a crackhead pillow. And Donald Trump expressed a lot of support for Marjorie Taylor Greene, for the Marine who rescued the little baby in Afghanistan. But he did not once mention Mike Lindell or rely on any of the evidence. He went through in some detail a lot of different evidence pertaining to his allegations regarding an event that occurred in November. but he didn't say anything about Mike Lindell. And
Yeah.
I believe that's because he knows Mike Lindell is an idiot and his evidence is bad.
Yeah, and I just think it's also unseemly as a candidate to be out there promoting products and
I
services. And on that subject as well, and I do have some big news to talk about in the Clinton Foundation eventually. I don't know if you've been watching Fox recently, but they are so far down in the gutter with their commercials now. CrowdStrike is supporting.
What?
Yeah, CrowdStrike is advertising.
Oh my God.
In the 6 o'clock Brett Baer show, you got. To me, I don't really like advertisements, and I don't try not to engage. But I'm not a channel flipper. I'm not going to go and, it might turn the sound down, but. This,
We should stop for a moment
Sure.
and admire this, Charles, because this little mini remote control sailboat.
oh yeah, I used to come here as a kid.
I mean, this is one of the best things ever when you're a kid.
Oh yeah, and it's not just kids. I mean, there's some grown-ups who actually. Some of these boats are not so cheap.
They're
and-
pretty sophisticated, right? Like
Yeah.
that one was just, catching a.
Look at the size of that one.
Oh wow,
Yeah, I mean, so you have, and that's not a kid there.
pretty serious remote control. Oh yeah, no, that's an adult operating it.
Oops.
So I guess you control the sails, and then you're doing everything that you would do with a regular sailboat, right?
Right, and you have. This is the kind of thing Joe Biden could not do.
Right. Requires the ability to control your fingers.
Control a lot of things that he can't control. Which is sad. There used to be, in the old days, they used to have a rack for you
This
to put all.
guy's the operator
Is it yours?
to rent the boat, right?
Is he allowed to?
Yeah, well, they used to have kind of like racks where you could put, people would keep their boats.
I guess probably people were messing with the boats.
Yeah, it'd be pretty funny to have, a battleship or whatever. Just Rodney
Launch on
Dangerfield.
all the- This is the Alice H. and Edward A.
Curbs Memorial. I forget who they are.
Oh wow! Look at this boat.
Yeah.
Is that your boat, sir?
Yes, sir.
Very nice.
Impressive. So what can you tell us about remote control sailboating?
Not too much. This boat got 2 channels, one for the rudder, one for the sails.
Aha. So you're controlling the sails and controlling the rudder, and it's just basically like sailing a regular boat,
Yeah.
right?
When you got wind, you be moving all the time.
And are little kids still sailing boats around here, or is it mostly older adult experts like yourself?
Well, there's another boat pond, any type of boat here.
Dog.
But
I
because
do,
of the
okay.
pandemic, the rental's been closed since last year.
Get the battleships. We'll give those to the Taliban. We're just gonna have these rubber duckies, and people will be so frightened that they're gonna, just give up.
And instead of Mark Milley, they have Snoopy.
Exactly. And James Taylor will come sing you a few songs.
Snoopy might be more effective than Milley,
No
and
doubt.
he's not a communist.
No doubt.
Thanks.
You too.
Charles, we meet some interesting people walking around New York City.
We do.
That's definitely the first.
That's probably Mark Milley's replacement, that guy.
Yeah. first
One
for-
day, he'd go in and he'd fix the Pentagon. Probably.
Right.
So why don't we do a
Remote-controlled
circuit
boats.
and then head
Sure.
west?
So you have news about the Clinton Foundation. Everybody's been talking about that guy, Sussman.
Right.
Some people say it's a big deal. Some people say it's a nothing burger.
Well,
We don't really know yet.
I mean, the people I listen to, and just my own eyes, I think that he has telegraphed that Durham's telegraphed he's going after a conspiracy. But let me get into the big news, because I
Sure.
was pretty close to the weeds when I was studying this in the
Legal
beginning.
weeds.
Yeah, only legal weeds. It's a different department for illegal weed.
Yeah.
It's not mine. Look, that remote control thing is awfully lifelike.
Remote controlled ducks.
Very lifelike.
What is that platform? It's just a duck platform.
So,
That
It's
Joe
a pla-
Biden could have run on a duck platform. It
It's
would have
a-
been better than what he's doing.
the huge buildings, and then this nice body of water. When I say nice, it's probably filthy, but
They must do something to prevent it from getting rank, right? It's
how can they? I mean, how can they? I
like
always.
a pool filter, or I don't know.
I mean, how do you stop people in the summer from going in there in the middle of the night and taking a bath?
Isn't the park closed at a certain point?
Oh, and those kind of people will always respect the rules, Jason. They're not gonna.
We never really heard anything else about the alleged bomber of this statue. It just sort of was announced, I guess, the day after we came to visit it in a bizarre New York Post story that didn't really seem to correspond to facts or reality. There's another magic show. Oh, a puppet show.
Oh. Wait. Don't I have a scary frown on my face? Is he frowning? What am I doing?
Wait, do you remember when this was put here? Or has
Before I was a kid.
It was.
I think. I mean, it should. So maybe it says somewhere, like here.
It says Alice in Wonderland in memory of my wife, Margarita Delacourt, who loved all children. CTD. Who is CTD?
I don't know.
Or GTD?
Margarita Delacourt. I think there's a Delacourt Theater as well. I don't know.
Well, this is more people and children around this thing than there have been in quite some time. This is also a very stupid. How many people just face plant off of this thinking it's stairs?
Joe Biden.
Oh wait, here's the thing. It says
59, yeah.
1959. Yeah, Monument to Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland was presented to the city of New York by George and Margarita Delacourt Foundation.
Well, I moved to New York around May 30th, 1959. So my memory is pretty good on this.
The landscape architect is Hideo Sasaki. Maybe Mandy knows who that is. Oh look, and then it says right here, Margarita Delacourt Memorial.
Yeah.
So I wonder who they are and what that foundation's all about.
We'll look into that.
And here's Super Mario.
So on the subject of the Clinton Foundation, I was looking at something, and of course YouTube has protocols or AI or whatever that then recommends what you should look at next. For some reason, my recommended video was Rodney Dangerfield on the Jackie Gleason show. And it was, I mean, the two of them in their prime
Hilarious.
were just absolutely, so Dangerfield made Gleason laugh, and then Gleason leaves and he goes into his I get no respect thing. And I didn't know at the time that the topic would end up where it ended up, but he did all, my wife this and strangers that, and he ends up and he says, I'll tell you, I won't try to imitate the voice.
That was
This guy comes to my front door and I open it up and he says, can you give me $1? And I said, for what? He says, for Sue Goo. And I, what's Sue? Who's Sue Goo? Sue Goo, if you give Sue Goo $1 in a year, she can put all her kids to school, her older kids to college, feed everybody, do all this kind of stuff. And he said something like, does she have a sister? Because my wife it would be impossible for her to make $1 go that far in a year. But it was for another fake foundation. And this is a clip from I don't know,
wow,
the
is
60s.
AI developing a sense of humor?
I don't know, but it was pretty amusing. And so we've gone through, Jason, there's now I think 43 parts to the Hillary R. Clinton
Right.
Email investigation. And we've been talking about this in the past. The idea of a limited hangout you always bring up.
Yep.
And I think this, if I remember, does this get us east? Is that west that way?
I tell you, I get very lost in the park.
Well, let's go across and that way.
We have a bike. Oh, look at that.
That's cute.
Wow. That's like the modern tandem bike for dragging your kid around.
So if we go quickly, so the classic Clinton approach is to say, let's mount an investigation. We will mount an investigation. It'll be a thorough investigation. And
it'll find nothing.
Right, because we'll make sure that you're going to investigate ground that we scrubbed where there's nothing for you to find. So when you go to part 1, and I tweeted this out without explaining it.
This is the paddle boat thing.
The what thing?
Isn't this the boathouse?
I haven't been here in the longest of time. I guess it is.
Yeah. And then there's a restaurant too.
You can kind of go around it. So if you go to the part one of the Hillary R. Clinton email investigation, there's a summary of what they did.
FBI vault.
And it talks about how they investigated a few domains. They investigated
Internet domains.
because the subject was emails and whether Hillary Clinton had turned over all of her emails. And so they said, well, she used this AT&T Singular address and this other thing and this other thing, but she really was using Clinton office and PresidentClinton.com or something like that, 2 domains.
Right.
And I thought to myself, now wait a minute. You know, I'm no internet sleuth, but I remember there are other email
Wasn't
addresses.
there ClintonEmail.com?
There's Clinton email, there's HRCoffice.com, and there's WJCoffice.com. And what's really interesting, Jason, because we have physical copies of emails from 2003 addressed to this guy, Jim Kennedy, who was a Clinton loyalist buried within Fox. For some reason, they keep him there, maybe because he's close with the Murdochs or whatever. He's been there for like 13 years or so.
Wow.
And these emails are addressed to J. Kennedy at owjc.org.
So he's working for Bill Clinton and Fox
Hillary
News?
Clinton. A close loyalist.
Even worse.
So, but the point is, so these you could see these emails for yourself. I mean, we've already shown people the emails. Yeah, we want to head in that direction. So.
Yep.
So when you go into this thing, Icon has this thing, who is, and you can figure out what Icon believes, who Icon believes is the owner of the various domains. And when you punch in www.owjc.org,
Yeah.
no such email address. So they've scrubbed it.
No. What happens is there are other top-level domain providers other than ICANN who might have the Who Is records for that. We should check GoDaddy. We should check Two Cows.
Or we'll check it all. But the point is, when you check, I think it's PresidentClinton.com. There's President Clinton.
Viagra ads.
No.
Here, wait. Let's just circle around this way, Charles. Get a nice view of the boats.
There's PresidentClinton.com. I think there might also be PresidentClinton.org. You discover that one of them that Hillary Clinton was using, and she says she only started using it in December 2014. The domain name was registered June 1st, 2014. So what Comey did is he allowed the Clintons to restrict the pool of possible domain names that would be hosting email, and then also allowed them to bleach bit to fare thee well, and then at the end of the day said, well, the subset that we've looked at, on that we found lots and lots of classified email, but we're not going to do anything about it because no responsible prosecutor would ever do anything about it.
No sensible,
right?
He said, because they know they'd be killed.
Right, exactly. So, so when you look at that, you can go into the Podesta WikiLeaks email, as I've done, and you can see for yourself that there are a lot of different emails in the period under review by the FBI that don't use the restricted 2 email addresses that were searched for that ridiculous 43-part study. So
I like it that you call it a study and not an investigation.
Well,
Because
it's not an investigation.
it's not. Park's pretty crowded today, Charles.
It is. It is.
It's nice.
To build this again using Western labor would be pretty expensive.
Billions, right?
I don't know about billions, but it would be. If the government were doing it, it'd be trillions.
Oh yeah, Joe Biden congratulated all the trillionaires. Aren't there a grand total of none?
Did he say trillionaires?
Yeah, billionaires and trillionaires did well during the pandemic, according to Joe Biden.
Trillionaires.
Come on, man, you know the thing.
Yeah. Pathetic.
He's just as stupid as possible. I mean, look, I got sympathy for aging people who are losing their capabilities, their faculties. Everybody's frustrated by the aging process one way or another. Joe Biden started out as an idiot.
Are we sure?
Maybe not even that smart.
Whew, but very tranquille.
Yeah.
This is prime real estate over here.
Well, I mean, this is a real nice part of the park. I mean, you know, you can sort of have your afternoon out of the city without leaving the city. It's very nice and quiet.
Until around dusk when you get mugged.
Well, I mean, Central Park's been pretty safe for the most part for a long time, right?
Did you see the story? Right around here, within the last week, they found a guy strung up, white guy, strung up dead.
My God, I did not hear that.
Yeah.
I did see that somebody got stabbed on 14th Street and 8th Avenue this morning.
That's a good way to lose weight quickly.
Well,
Just
I mean,
disgusting.
that's pretty darn near. Oh, look, bird bath. That's pretty darn near where you and I are hanging around almost all the time.
I've never been there, Jason. I don't know what you're talking about.
14th and 8th. Now, wait a minute. Is this horse about to drink out of the fountain or something?
So we want to go that way, but maybe we should show the other
Sure.
bit of the pond.
I don't know that I've ever been to this exact spot in the park before.
I have a while back, but I wasn't
This is
aware
like
there's.
the horse waiting area.
I guess. These rides are so expensive. Yeah, make sure you have a lot of cash.
Well, and also a lot of people think that it's not nice to the horses.
Yeah. I'll let AOC, who's a horse's ass, write extensive memos and hold hearings on that subject. I mean, come on.
She'll cry.
And then she'll vote present.
Yeah. What
So-
building is that?
That's
Helmsley something?
no, I don't remember the name
It's a
of it.
hotel though, isn't it?
No, it's co-ops. It's got, I think that one's on 81st and Central Park West. But so just going back to the email. So what they should have been studying in the email addresses is not, which email address, which domain name. It should have been
Criminal content of the
while
messages.
she was a senator, and while Bill was president, how many people contributed money said they contributed money on their tax returns to Clinton charities, and then in return got items of value, advantages, financial rewards, contracts, etc. And you're the IRS. You could cross-check this stuff. It's not, it's not you and me trying to do it. You and I trying to do it. You could actually just spit the answers out. And of course, Comey was put in there not to do that.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is that one of the email addresses, and I don't remember which one exactly, that it was not the subject of being investigated, was registered June 5th, 2002 to Bill Clinton. Right? So this is as Dopey James Comey and Robert Mueller, in theory, are investigating the Clinton Foundation, and they do that for all of 2, all of 3, all of 4, and part of 5. Did any of them look at this email?
Well, I thought Bill Clinton famously never emails anything.
Well, I think what they do there is they have, and I know people of his age who do the same thing. You'll have a secretary who'll do that for you.
Does
You'll
it
have-
on from your email address.
And sometimes what people who get a large volume of traffic like to do is they say, all right, would you print out my emails?
I read the
And then they'll read
printouts,
them, and then they just check.
notes on there and give it to somebody to respond.
Right.
I mean, talk about inefficiency.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's,
It's an old school way to do it.
yeah.
But who has the quote that the E in email stands for evidence? Is that Bill or Hillary?
It's actually one of my children was told that once in a matter, trying to expose something. But it's an old quote. Daniel Webster.
Oh, look, more flowers. There's something going on with the saint today. I wonder, it's got to be somehow related to San Gennaro,
Could
right?
be. You know. This is where you start talking to me about Christianity, and I start talking to you about Judaism. We're
I
both
don't know
lost.
anything about it. That dog had flowers.
that this truly
So
is.
what is the significance of that 2002 registration of that email for Bill Clinton?
Well, remember we have, we want to go, I think, on the sidewalk. We have a briefing memo late in July, I think, to Robert Mueller, updating, apprising him of the status of the investigation into the Clinton Foundation. So at that time, they've had an enormous amount of time to study what is an obvious fraud, and they make no progress with it.
It was an enormous amount of time.
Enormous, yeah. And it's just, it's freaking silly. The other thing to contrast is you have, in 16, we've talked about it before, you have somebody walking in to Comey's office trying to find him in January 2016,
Right,
having
we still
sent
don't
him,
know who that is.
having sent him, here, I have Hillary Clinton dead to rights, working with Barack Obama.
Give me a skiff.
Give me a skiff so I can explain to senior people what the hell's going on here.
It's lunchtime.
We want to invent. We're too busy. We're trying to decide, should we call it Crossfire Hurricane? Should we do this? Should we invent that?
We're still casting for January 6th. Get the hell out of here.
Exactly. Do you have an agent? You can't be at this casting call.
How do you look in a MAGA hat?
But it's that kind, again, when I talk about valuation, that's just such an obvious contrast. You have an insider walking in with a large amount of information, so sensitive that he or she can only share it in a skiff. And on the other hand, you want to hire a doofus law firm, some doofus lawyers in a doofus law firm. Thanks for that, Dick.
Yeah, what was that guy doing?
Taking a dump, probably.
That's what it looked like to me.
But you have Hillary Clinton conspiring with these doofus lawyers she's overpaying to make shit up about Trump and his team.
Right. I mean, the funny thing is, we knew that. None of these things are saying, Charles Ortel and various people at Crowdsource the Truth were like 5 years ahead on this. Now it's breaking news for us. But that Alpha Bank thing, I mean, the day it came out, we figured out it was nonsense. Whoa. Hey, this thing...
This is the John Lennon thing. Imagine.
Yeah, but you know what? It looks a little bit like the Black Sun. This is Strawberry Fields, right? Or
Imagine.
what isn't Strawberry Fields around?
It's around here somewhere, yeah. That is not John Lennon.
No.
Here's the Dakota.
You ever play Mario Brothers?
Smells like stale weed over there.
I think that guy wakes up stoned back
He's
there.
not even awake now.
No, the guy back there.
Yeah,
So
so
what's
those guys are doing something for Sukkot.
Have you been vaccinated for that?
Against Sukkot? No. I'm not afraid of it.
So we have two choices. We can go, well, many choices. We could go down Central Park West, or we could go down, is it Columbus, the next one? Amsterdam?
I don't mind.
You pick.
So this is 70. Let's go Central Park West.
Okay.
Stay walking along the park. Now, what's going on with Eyewitness News over there?
I don't know. This, I thought was closed due to a large ticketed event.
Oh, that was the concert, I think, last night. They redid the concert, right?
How'd that go?
Well, de Blasio got booed again, of course.
Did people chant out there, F Biden?
I didn't really watch it. I think it was a redo. I just saw a brief New York Post explanation of de Blasio getting jeered.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. I mean, the first one got rained out, so I presumed it was a redo of that, but I think it's lost its enthusiasm.
So if I may continue on the Clinton Foundation a little bit. So what these miscreants and ne'er-do-wells thought they'd get away with, they have not gotten away with. Whoever their book agents were, this guy, Taylor Branch, who wrote The Secret Tapes, Wrestling History with the President.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he he is actually a very gifted writer, in my opinion.
Didn't he do something weird on a personal level with Bill Clinton, that guy?
Yes.
Like went on a vacation with him or something?
That's Edwards, but he was lit Hillary in I think when Bill was backing McGovern in Texas and got his ass kicked.
Right.
There's controversy there, but you had to take that book, and then you take Bill Clinton's book. And what I've learned with these sleaze buckets, and it could just be laziness, what they do, they write these books, and then they don't necessarily reference important, potentially incriminating stuff in the index. So you have to.
But they do include it.
But they include it in the text, and so I've been now going back over timelines, and I had forgotten this timeline. I was talking to my brother about it. That back in '92, it was really, I think, a November surprise potentially, but with HW and Bill, the Thursday before the Tuesday election, '92, November, Caspar Weinberger and 5 other people were indicted.
For Iran-Contra?
For Iran-Contra, in a move, in the indictment, the text of which lawyers claim suggests, as in the case of Sussman, that Walsh, the special prosecutor or whatever he was at the time, had decided there was a conspiracy to lie to the special counsel and others about what was truly going on with Iran-Contra, and that specifically HW and his lawyer, I think it was Boyd and Gray, had information that was should have been given in response to a validly constructed set of subpoenas. And instead of providing it, they sat on it, they buried it.
What was Barr's role there? Because he was very involved with all the Iran-Contra.
I don't know. It's a good question. But so on the one hand, this happened right before the election of '92, and then when HW lost, he went ahead about 6-7 weeks later, right before Christmas, and he pardoned Cap Weinberger and the 5 others. And
well, that was Barr, had a lot to do with that.
Probably had a lot to do with that. And the thing that's interesting there is that in Bill's book, My Lies, or My Lice, he talks about, he's just one of these people who, even when he's wrong, cannot admit he's wrong.
That is a psychological problem I've noticed with a certain type of very intelligent person.
Right. So he's there and he's talking to Taylor Branch. Not that I have been going over this recently, but on March 6, 2001. And Clinton, according to Branch's account, is talking about how it was unfair for the Bush team to bitch about these pardons, because what Bush did with Cap Weinberger was a lot more serious than what he did with Mark Rich.
I think they were both actually
bad,
pretty close to equally serious, and both involved with Iran-Contra. Right. And it's another example of 2 lying social engineers pretending to be enemies and fighting over something, so that we observers don't know exactly who's on what side of what.
Exactly. But what was interesting is then, I've noticed this with specifically with the Clinton Foundation and with the Hillary Clinton email investigation and with the FBI administrative guide. So this is like a 1,000-page guide that talks about, watch the hole there. That's where Joe Biden gets his morning coffee.
Fresh brewed.
So the guide has all of these things you're supposed to do, and one of the things, I haven't read 1,000 pages of it, but I've read a number of pages, and to guard against the idea that crooked people in the FBI, and I think at this point we believe that's a large percentage,
pretty much everybody there, yeah,
would uncover incriminating evidence and destroy it. What you're supposed to do with stuff that's involved in an investigation is you put it into a system, which I think is called the Sentinel system.
And then you deliver it to Imran Awan's lawyer. Oh no, wait, you're not supposed to do that.
But the point is, there is such a process that you would have a Sentinel system, and there should be people who were honest, who are going to go back over the records, could look and say, now wait a minute, how come this audit, this is for the event you talked about, how come this body of information, say the Articles of Incorporation, the bylaws, the correspondence with the IRS about the Clinton Foundation and China, how come that's not in the file? Or how come it was sent to the file but then disappeared? Who authorized that? Who signed off on all this? And so in the Taylor Branch book, it turns out his wife, Taylor Branch's wife, was one of Hillary Clinton's best friends. I don't know if that means like Uma, but you know, best friend, best friend.
Very friendly.
Yeah. And so he goes, and originally I didn't catch this because I was looking I forget what I looked under, maybe the Clinton Presidential Library or something. And I noticed that there was a lot of stuff until 97 or early 98, and then nothing until 99, 2000, 2001. I'm like, what about 1998? Weren't you meeting with Clinton in 1998 during the whole Lewinsky impeachment drama?
Yeah, you don't want to look at that stuff.
Well, then I said, well, let's look under Lewinsky and the lawyers, Kendall, and see what I find. And lo and behold, yeah, he was meeting with him. Now I've got all these other dates. But interestingly, he talks about multiple times when Starr has issued subpoenas for anything relating to Bill Clinton's state of mind. You know, and of course, here's Taylor Branch recording Bill Clinton's state of mind.
Right.
And Taylor Branch talks about how, well, I turned the tape recorder off and we discussed how to get around this.
What?
I mean, this is in the book. And, you know, it must be that what they do, what Comey and Mueller were doing is like they show up at the crack of 10 o'clock in the morning rather, having had their liquid breakfasts, and they let the cameras photograph them, and then they go into a conference room. It's all set up to make it seem as if something's going to happen important, and then Comey, 5 minutes into it, gets a note brought to him. He says, "Oh, it's very important. I gotta go." And then he gets his first massage and his second massage and whatever.
But don't all the people in the meeting say, wait a minute, this is the oldest trick in the first date book?
Well, no, they're all drunk.
Oh,
These are the managers. They're all, you know. You're head of counterintelligence because I know you're not going to do anything. You want to try to do anything, you know, you'll be walking a beat.
Walking where?
A beat, like a cop
Yeah.
with a billy stick in a tough neighborhood with another target on your back.
More twins.
They're everywhere.
I know.
So when you put all this stuff together, I don't want to telegraph everything I've found, but I would say that there are a large number of people in the Clinton and Bush orbit who need excellent lawyers, based on what I'm reading. I think that what happened, this is a working theory, and I don't have, you know, I'm not a prosecutor, I'm not a lawyer. I think what happened, and I don't know that I've mentioned this before on the show, the Iran-Contra mess was a real disaster. It's just like Benghazi and other episodes. The second you start saying that the American people are going to fund currently or over time with the debt we're going to run up all of our projects around the world, but they don't have a right to know what the fuck we're doing. You know, when you start down that track, you should report to Sing Sing. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, but it's even worse than that because it wasn't funded by the American people. It was, well,
It was funded through a
if we
charity.
can't do this on the up and up, I thought it was funded by selling guns and cocaine.
No, it was funded through a charity.
Iran-Contra? What
Absolutely.
about all the guns they sold?
Well,
to-
I'm telling you, what happened was to raise the money to pay for the guns. The same lawyer, the guy we talked about before, who failed properly to incorporate the American Conservative Union and Foundation, that same
what was
dude.
that guy's name again?
I can't. Is it something EGRE last name? I forget.
Who got pardoned by Trump? No,
Was he pardoned by Trump? No, that's a different guy.
newer lawyer.
Yeah, newer lawyer. But this is, he was centrally involved in the whole Iran-Contra thing, and the way they raised the money and you know, evaded Congress and broke the law was they did it through a foundation.
Unbelievable. So they know that these foundations are just like,
Nobody's going to look at them. So a central figure in all that, a guy who, you know, there are various books, you can disagree with whether the books are real or not, but there's a book that alleges that Oliver North was running guns and doing all sorts of stuff in Arkansas under multiple fake names, and there are people who have claimed that, and there are people who've died claiming that, and there's a very controversial book, which I have, that gets into all that. But the lawyer who defended Oliver North in Iran-Contra, Jason, was who?
I don't remember.
Nicole Seligman. Nicole Seligman is one of the two Williams and Connolly partners who incorporated the Clinton Foundation.
I think she had something to do with Kobe Bryant too.
Possible. Well, she went from
We'll have to check
being a
that.
lawyer to being a studio executive. I forget which one, Sony or something. She was.
Oh, yeah, that name sounds familiar to me.
Now here we're coming up on a Trump portion, Trump building,
International.
which was the scene of a great movie. I forget the name. Was it The Concierge or something? It was some movie.
I don't know.
It was a good one.
Well, but it's got the same kind of design as Trump.
Yeah, sure. Trump's architect said, "How'd you like Trump Tower? I loved it. Well, I'll design you a new
Make
building.
another one. Yeah.
This looks suspiciously like the old building." No, it's not. We're using copper plumbing. Oh, okay. That-
Adventures in Plumbing.
That's a line from Moonstruck, in case you didn't know. And this building to your right, 15 Central Park West, the apartments are phenomenally expensive.
I don't doubt
No, like
that.
80 million, 100 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
It does look like it's made out of some fancy stone.
Well, it's one of the, I don't know if it's a condo or a co-op, but the billionaire class falls all over itself
And
to
then
live
people
there.
have balconies there to look out on Central Park.
Yeah, but you're looking east, which is, that's just a good morning view. West is what you want,
Right.
the evening view. But this is the site of where I think it was May of last year, we had Hawk Newsom and the BLS rabble-rousers were swarming this, going to topple the Christopher Columbus.
Oh, yeah. Well, BLM now has said that they're going to have an uprising over the vaccine mandates. Has there been any update on that?
Well, it's like agreeing with George Soros, something I don't like to do. On this one, I kind of have some sympathy for the BLM, for this guy's position. I mean, after the Tuskegee thing, after what we saw happen with HIV and AIDS.
Well, we don't want to contribute to what YouTube will consider
No, I'm just
anybody
saying.
hesitating on anything.
Right, I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying that his position is not as irrational, let's say, as Joe Biden's position on anything.
Right.
I mean, at least it's grounded in some sort of evidence and logic.
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from. I'm sure, name the worst serial killer in the world. Maybe he liked pizza.
I mean, George W. Bush.
Not really interested in agreeing with him, even if that's something we agree on.
By the way, did you saw that clip? You probably talked about it already. Hillary Clinton at Queens.
Oh, yeah.
That was hilarious.
With that little Hogwarts kid carrying her dress.
I tweeted out, "Honey, do I look fat in the circus tent?" I mean, which way do you want to go, Jason? You want to go?
Well, I'm wondering, this lab, this Q testing lab,
They're packing up.
well, I was going to say, if they run out of business, they could just repaint the truck and join Weed World.
They probably do. They probably have like this thing. Which way do you want to go? That way?
I don't mind. Let's, where are we less likely to get radio interference?
We've got to perhaps go away from CNN.
This is just a totally empty truck. Like, what are they even testing with this?
I think they just put everything up.
They just got a bunch of these empty Sprinter vans. Could have even bought used ones from Weed World, painted them up with some Q labs, and stick a bunch of Q-tips in people's noses and tell them they have COVID.
No, the way they do it is they say, "Are you by chance a conservative Republican? You got COVID. Are you a Biden voter? No COVID." This is so egregiously expensive. $7 for chili cheese fries.
I don't know. The whole thing is a wreck over here. These dudes are just pushing the lulav like crazy.
Is that a uniform that they're wearing, or is that just like? Because it's all the same hat, same.
That's just the Hasidic wardrobe. Like, I told you the time when I was in Dubai, the producer wanted to have some kind of production meeting, so I was meeting him over at some restaurant.
Uh-huh.
And he was a traditional. There's a man and a woman, two people who were the producers, and it was like the woman who was the one whose family gave her all the money to make it, And then I guess I don't even know why this guy was there. It just seems in UAE nobody would listen to a woman, so we had this guy with us. So I'm meeting him at the restaurant, and I walk in there and I say to the maitre d', "Hey, did you see a tall guy with a beard wearing a Candora?" And he was like shocked because it's the whole entire restaurant. But the Hasidic Jews are on the same, you know, the haberdashery is not a lot of selection.
Yeah. Well, this is decidedly more busy than.
Well, it wasn't open the last time we were here. I guess they've opened it now, Pan Quotidian. And always safe for your health to have your dog sitting at the table with you while you eat.
This Venchi is a very expensive ice cream
Oh
place.
yeah, that's the thing that used to be down on 4th Street, right?
Well,
Or
they
8th Street
they
or
now
4th?
have it on. It's on Bleecker now too. They just opened there too. It's on.
Oh wait, and this is the pizza place that was near my haircut place that closed. So maybe they just moved.
Could be. So I figure we'll go down 7.
Sure.
Quite a walk here, Jason.
Well, it's a nice day, Charles, and I think it's nice for people to see what's going on around New York City, even just the gradual progression of how many people are out on the street, what quotient of tiny little energetic dogs are running around.
But so back on Hillary Clinton, so she's chancellor of this reputable, once reputable university. Chancellor, she doesn't really have to do much, which is why she was picked,
Yeah.
because she's qualified to do that.
Right. Nothing.
And she's expecting an adoring crowd. And if you remember the second time her campaign booted, which I think is the right way to say so, it was a reboot, in somewhere where she was expecting a throng. She had overflow crowds in 2015, I think. Like nobody showed up.
I don't remember
But
that specifically.
oh yeah, it was hilarious. But
It is.
But because that's the kind of stuff where you could find volunteers. There are plenty of people.
Fill it up,
High
right.
school kids, college kids, graduate kids. Sons and daughters of donors who are trying to get something out of the grifters.
Krispy Kreme donuts.
And you could bus them there. I mean, it's not. You can wake them up in the morning. You can give them some. It should have been packed, but she couldn't even pack a packed crowd. So then she goes. What?
Sorry, those noisy wheels.
Squeaky wheels.
They're not getting the grease.
Prime Retail over there on the corner of 57th. Amazing.
Nice lens on that guy's camera.
Nice garbage.
Yeah, a lot of stuff out. So
But-
Hillary.
so she's there, and she's got this. She hopes an adoring crowd. She looks at the people, and you hear, "War criminal, get the fuck out of here, go home." It's good for
I mean, I'm sure she just sort of puts that out of her mind and says, "Oh, those people." But they're right.
Well, yeah. I mean, in Ireland, in my experience in Ireland, I have less in Northern Ireland, but I have some, a lot in Southern Ireland. When the crowd doesn't like you, they don't. They're not. It's not
Not
English.
shy.
Like, may I please venture a small criticism? Fuck you, you hair-eating bitch. Get out of here.
Well, I love the question, does this dress make me look fat? No. Your giant ass makes you look fat. Dress is fine.
As if Bill's really going to be focused on the subject if he were one. I'm a bit busy.
Can't see, I got blow in my eyes.
I'm backed up here. I got a 1 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, a 5 o'clock.
Charles, they all make me so sick. Just like anytime somebody had a great quote about Biden, that it's like anytime he speaks, it's you could just type in, look, here's the deal,
Number one,
and then let autocomplete do the other sentence because it makes like it's words, but it doesn't make sense.
and it's really so dangerous because people who are brigands, who their job is to probe for weakness, find weakness, and then exploit weakness.
That's hackers. What's a brigand?
Crook, garden variety crook.
Ah,
A tough guy. They'll look at this and they'll say, okay, the United States is preoccupied, and Biden is asleep. Right. By the time he figures out we took Taiwan, what's he going to do about it? Taiwan. I used to work in a Taiwanese restaurant. And that's what he says now.
Did he say that?
No, he's everywhere he goes. I used to be a
Taiwanese
truck driver.
restaurant.
I used to do this. I used to do that. I worked in Boise Cascade, he said, in Idaho.
I used to have cognitive ability.
That's right.
When was that, Joe? Huh? Yeah.
Joe's not
Okay, I think now it will be back.
good.
What were we talking about?
Talked about so many different things. I forget, actually.
Well, Hillary Clinton was chancellor of the thing. These guys are doing skateboarding tricks on the sidewalk.
Yep.
Here's another COVID rapid testing. At
Very
least it's
weird.
inside a business.
Well, did we flesh out this issue that I think this coming week, in addition to having the budget, the year end finishes, the American government year end finishes September 30th. So the budget has to be, in theory, agreed, and the debt ceiling has to be lifted. Sundry deadlines put up both for teachers and healthcare
Oh
workers.
yeah, they keep extending that.
Well, and there was a legal decision late Friday that denied de Blasio the ability to force, I forget if it was teachers or healthcare workers or whatever, to be vaccinated. There's going to be a lot of drama back and forth of
I gotta call Michael Caine.
You should.
He's been texting me and sending tweets and things, but I'm not sure. Wow. Do you think that apes and peacocks are the most qualified to be roasting your coffee? It looks
Well,
like
to working in government, I mean, look, working for the Democrats, looks like they were trying to get in or out.
something was happening with the peacock coffee.
Yeah. Now Sunday, my recollection is that it's Sunday matinees that they used to have, not Sunday evening shows. Am I wrong about that?
Sunday matinee sounds right.
Yeah. So this is not. I mean,
Exactly back.
this is not anywhere near back. And
Everything is closed.
And mind you, this part of New York City has. I mean, when I was in my teen and 20 period, this part of New York City was just disgusting.
Yeah.
We walked through here the other way, you and I, last Sunday.
Right. Well, I mean, it was disgusting even when I was younger. Like tons of porno stuff. Like it was dangerous. You wouldn't come here.
Unless you were Bill Clinton.
Right. And you know, Manny Grossman has been talking to a lot of different people who were investigating things that seem to be connected to Epstein, definitely son of Sam, but that had to do with child prostitution in Times Square,
sure.
running
Well, sure, they would.
human trafficking through here.
They would.
That guy's a cop.
Yeah, they would have people, and still do have people over there, and there are a lot of cops there. They would have people at Port Authority, the crooks would, waiting for the runaways to get off the bus, and then they'd bring them right into prostitution.
Port Authority, I don't understand why they don't drop a Moab on that.
Oh, look at this.
Every time
This is
I've been in
gutsy.
there-
Trump won.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, that's Derek.
He said that's Derek.
That's the guy running for governor.
That's funny. But
Right? Isn't that his name, Derek?
I
mean,
guess.
the woman acknowledged it, so I think that's the correct name. Derek, I can't remember his last name.
what are all these cops doing here?
I guess
Is
there's
Joe
some.
Joe Biden pretending he's going to a play?
I don't know. Maybe there's
Something's
some
going on.
protest happening. Well, I mean, if that guy Derek is here, there probably was a New York.
Well, there are a lot of high-level cops. You see the white-shirted guys.
That bald guy who I said that's a cop, I recognize from other. Like he's definitely a cop. I don't know his name, but I've spoken to him.
Is he a Secret Service guy?
He's some executive level cop who always shows up with a suit with a pin on it. But he's quite recognizable, and that was him.
All right.
Let's maybe ask. Maybe it's a.
Public safety.
What is it about public safety?
That guy was just bugging me.
I hit the wrong button that might have screwed it up. I don't know if that's going to start us again or if that just ended the whole thing. Oh man, it's getting real frustrating. But
We could
let's
stop
see if
it.
No, I don't want to do that. People like to chart our adventures here, Charles, and I don't want to deprive anybody of their Sunday infotainment.
All right.
But it is wearing on me to constantly restart this thing. Let's see if it yeah, people are saying buffering. Let's see if it comes back. What happened, Jason? Somebody says. I think there's just a ton of police radio equipment in
Yeah.
use today. that is potentially interfering with the broadcast.
Particularly over here.
Here. Let's see if it comes back. It says it is. I think it is.
It's broadcasting or it's not?
I think it is back. Whoops, hang on. Oh, well, so here we go, Charles, just in time. I think that Weed World must have a certain area kind of like designated for their weed sales or whatever they're selling.
Yeah, your regional franchise block.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Something is, it's saying that I have full signal on LTE, but it doesn't look like it's really broadcasting very smoothly.
It's probably going to be a challenge between now and 42nd Street, but
well, I hope it'll be all right. Look, someone is saying, oh, I thought they were cautioning us against 5G. So what's happening inside the living area of the Weed World? It looks like it's probably a scary mess inside there.
I do not even want to think about it.
And then, Charles, have you spent a considerable amount of time exploring M&M World?
Yeah, I like M&Ms actually in the winter.
But how could you have a museum dedicated to it?
We're talking about in this country.
It seems weird. And then this is new. This is the Krispy Kreme donut
and the two cops standing right outside.
Texting, of course, always.
Waiting for their colleagues to bring them out some donuts.
Oh, and he acknowledges that I'm looking at him texting, and they're going to guard the donut place.
That's right. Let them have the stale ones. They're cooking up a fresh batch.
I have to say, Krispy Kreme donuts are one item of junk food that I find extremely delicious, but I don't eat them. I can smell it right now.
How about Doritos?
I don't like those at all. You know, the first Krispy Kreme donuts, I don't know if you remember this, to open in New York.
Oh yeah, you had lines waiting outside.
Well, but it was on 23rd Street, right near where I live. And then there's some, like, you know, Friends of 23rd Street, some of these weird things that send me mail that want money, I guess. But they started a whole beef with Krispy Kreme that they were, you know, stinking up the block with donut aroma. And they made them install some giant ionizing machine on the roof of the building because I guess they wanted the smell of urine back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in that area, I love the smell of Krispy Kreme compared to the alternative. So the Mormons are back, Jason.
What are you talking about?
Book of Mormon.
Oh.
So just a shout out to my...
But it says November 5th.
Right. A shout out to my ex-father-in-law who's celebrating with his extended family out in Utah his 90th birthday.
Wow.
Which actually happened in June.
Congratulations.
And to the whole family and kids who were placed Clarissa's remains in Utah in her ashes this weekend. So that's a poignant weekend for everybody. As we celebrate New York City's remains.
Yeah, this is the W Hotel here, Charles. And they have Dos Caminos in there, and also, I forget the name of the other thing, but there's a seafood restaurant in there that's actually really good.
I would rather, when I traveled, you know, and you go to all these fancy cities or whatever, and you stay in a nice hotel, and it's the same French food or overpriced, you know, food. I'd much rather have ethnic food in a fancy restaurant than blah crap, overpriced. Especially when they rip you off for breakfast. You go downstairs,
so
like
expensive in a
$50
hotel.
for breakfast.
What are they building here, do you know?
Who knows? I have no clue.
It's really kind of unusual to see new construction in the middle of Times Square.
It's called, yeah. Must be by people who have too much money and not enough common sense. That said, there are a bunch of older buildings here that are not that tall, and if you can knock them down now, when people will fall all over themselves to give you good construction, I'd match near him.
Right. We're getting cut off like crazy here in Times Square. I hope that brought it back. I don't want to go through that lengthier process. Police doing Mad Libs.
All right.
You're like, I've seen every TikTok video.
Everyone.
Not everyone.
What'd you say?
That guy stepped on the joke. the cop was like filling out something. So I'm imagining they might have a conversation where he says, "Hey, I've watched every TikTok video. Anybody got a Sudoku game?" Pass the time.
Oh man, yeah, this is a lot busier than it used to be.
Right, we see the Mickey Mouse sisters knocking off work over there.
Bailing up to the bar.
Yeah, go have a drink, spend some of the...
I bet you they pull in a fair amount of money.
Well, I don't understand why Disney and whatever...
Want to go for it or not?
Yeah, I don't know why they allow people to do that. It's just basically stealing somebody else's thing and making money from it.
And it's not like it's not exactly projecting a fun, uplifting image. I mean, those costumes
That's right.
are
It's not
filthy.
good for their brand. I think somebody should try dressing up as an Emmy statue and see what happens.
They'll get sued.
Well, they won't. There's a million uses of that thing that they didn't sue anybody over.
A lot of cops actually in the area, which is interesting.
Maybe the
Why
Tonys.
lie? I need money for weed.
I've seen that guy before. Oh, now he's got a thing on his face, so maybe it's somebody
Another
else.
one's saying
They could have shifts.
same, you know, like this guy's exact copy of the same. You can actually make a serious point about that. One of the things that Bill Clinton was telling Taylor Branch on March 6, 2001, I think it was, or maybe a bit earlier, he was talking about how he had this idea, Bill Clinton did, for a new charity beyond his library, and he was going to call it the Global Anti-Poverty
Oh,
Initiative.
yeah.
You know,
That's funny.
which is, you know, when you look at the rules, which evidently don't apply if you take control of the IRS and the Justice Department with your crooked crony friends. If you're going to engage in charitable activity helping poor people, they actually have to be distressed. They have to be in need. You can't say to, let's say, people who are only worth $20,000 that you're disadvantaged and you're going to help them make money and have those people hire your dopey daughter. That has nothing to do with true charity. And that Bill Clinton, the man who would debate the meaning of the word is, would think that he could get away with setting up a charity called the Global Anti-Poverty Initiative, but that's in essence what it is. It's an anti-poverty initiative against him.
Wait, these are real animals.
No,
Charles.
we've seen this before.
Have we? This person with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
birds? Or
He's generally here or on 8th Avenue.
what is he doing with these birds? Donate to the animals.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get all the money. Let's move. I'd like to
This
move
is
away
like a
from
mini
this.
zoo here.
'Cause
That's odd.
you can get COVID from animals, Jason.
Well, I don't know what you're gonna get from
But this to me is the way I remember right here, New York City in the 70s. Filthy, smoke, garbage, crowds.
You didn't have Weed World then.
We didn't have Weed World. We had people doing heroin.
Whoa, is Weed World selling hats now?
No, it's just
It's a side vendor.
that's swag for Weed World. That's
Weed
Weed World
World is so successful, they're opening little concession stands.
swag. But I mean, this is the way it was. Everything was falling down, garbage, and just look at the sidewalk. It's just filthy,
Yeah. It's not ideal.
and it has. I don't know what that smoke is. Is it charcoal? Is it whatever? But it's you know, this cannot be good for you.
What do you mean? What smoke?
The smoke off the grills and
Oh, those guys making
whatever,
shawarmas or whatever.
whatever they're making.
I don't know why everybody now suddenly wants to like broadcast incredibly loud music
Is that music?
or whatever sound. Yeah, people are delighted even when they think they're on camera and they're not. See that
You mean people
girl?
like Joe Biden?
Here, this dudes are having their own Weed World right there on the sidewalk, Charles. Did you
Right
see
there?
that? Those guys were selling weed on the sidewalk.
Entrepreneur. It's like guy's global anti-poverty initiative.
I mean, it's just sending a message to every low-level criminal to do whatever the hell you want.
That message has been broadcast for quite a while.
Right.
Man, a fish. And here's your, is this your place here?
What place?
Land Shark Bar and Grill. And
Oh, not my place, but I am intrigued by this Margaritaville
the other night.
entertainment complex that has filled this entire building. I don't really like Jimmy Buffett or the food at Margaritaville.
yeah, it's just,
I mean, they voluntarily refer themselves as parrot heads.
is that what they call it?
Isn't that Jimmy Buffett?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're parrot heads. And then there's that other insane clown posse has a name for their fans as well.
Well, Rush Limbaugh was ditto heads.
Right, like, I don't know, this whole thing of like giving nicknames to fans is a strange thing.
Well,
I
I've
forget
given you
what
one.
What is it?
JG.
Well, that's sort of specific to me. I don't remember what the Insane Clown Posse fans were called.
Stoned.
Bugaloos or something? Bugaloos?
Stoned.
Juggalos.
Juggalos? Okay.
Yeah, juggalos.
Gigolos?
No. Yeah, similar, but different.
This guy's out of there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on over there.
Distinguished professor at Harvard. You
Right.
see what, there was some activist whipping up people against white privilege, who was, I think, white, and it turned out that person was actually a graduate student and Fulbright scholar. You know, it used to be a big deal to be a Fulbright scholar.
Well,
Now you're a Weed World scholar.
right. They should have a scholarship.
They probably do.
Weed.
Hunter's going to endow it. Well, I'll tell you, I was watching a little bit, I think it was Hunter on Friday, and
Tucker.
Tucker, yeah, and God, he was wailing on, I know what it was, he was on with Gutfeld, and it was a debate, who's dumber, Cuomo or Don Lemon?
Oh, I think I saw that.
I mean, it was harsh. And then he was also on with somebody else, I think on his own show, Tucker, talking about how stupid John Kerry was. He was so stupid he didn't understand he was stupid.
I think that's generally the way that works with stupid people.
But the point of it is to get that across the line.
We got a lot of static right here. It's like coming directly out of that shop.
Yeah.
Maybe they're broadcasting something. Okay, it's gone.
All jewelry up to 65% off. I wonder where.
But
Where
wait
they
a minute,
bought.
Charles, wasn't there something that now the mainstream media says somebody verified these emails from Hunter Biden and now?
Yeah, there's a second batch of emails that have been
trying to get money for Libya.
Yeah, he was trying to charge people $2 million a year retainer for multiple years plus a success fee to try to obtain money that the U.S.
Frozen
government had
assets.
frozen. And again, I'm sorry. I mean, Biden and his team cannot be so stupid. You know, maybe I should say this advisedly, but I find it difficult to believe that even Joe Biden, dumb as he is, would not understand that Hunter was up to no good. Engaging in all these fucking crazy ass projects, in particular in the period 17 through 20 when Joe was out of office.
But how do you have anything more mafia than freezing Libya's funds, which was the U.S. government stealing their money, and then being like, oh, if you give us $2 million, I'll represent you in getting it back.
That's right.
It's like, what kind of deal is this?
Yeah, you got a nice store here. You got some nice glass window panes. I'd hate for anything bad to happen to those window panes. Well, why would you say that, Benny?
Smash! Yeah, it's a very lopsided deal, it seems.
Now, note to the mothers and fathers.
Charles, that's the new thing. Those guys were selling weed right there.
We should pretend that we're tax collectors. Let's go. Why don't you go ahead and
There's got to be zero fear of getting arrested if they're just selling weed out on the street.
But I started to say, note to mothers and fathers of teenagers and young kids, do not allow your children to come into this station, Penn Station.
It is dangerous.
It is incredibly dangerous.
Well, I don't know. We got cut off, Charles, but there are some French fries that you may or may not want to try.
That's because I didn't want people to watch you eat that up. I know you like street food, particularly when it's on the street.
Something very strange going on here with this.
Careful.
Okay, I don't know. Oh, yeah. And here is, of course, the Weed World worldwide headquarters. Oh, wow, they have a lounge. Look at that. That's the designated smoking area. That's definitely not legal. I don't understand how this business operates.
I think, Jason, when you say definitely not legal, I think you need to remember nothing is legal anymore. We're in Rome and it's fallen. But
That's very disconcerting, Charles.
yeah, and garbage everywhere. I mean, just don't tell me that a jab is going to do more for you than cleaning all this crap up. I mean, as we go now, as it gets dark, more and more people will finally wake up and start roaming this place, begging, maybe doing worse than begging, assaulting. Disgusting.
So those are some official Apple products over there. That's a new thing. Those are being sold at the street level. So Weed and AirPod Pro is the new item for sale on the streets of New York City.
Yeah, and here you got your guy.
99-cent pizza.
Hey man, give me a slice.
I generally don't like things that have their strongest selling point be that they're 99 cents.
In the old, there were certain stores that weren't so bad with that pizza, but I agree. Joe's Pizza is much better.
So much better.
I actually think John's Pizza is even better,
But you gotta sit down and order a whole pie there. You can't just get a slice.
but they're light.
Well, I mean,
It's the experience. You have
eat
the
a whole pizza.
you go with a bunch of people and you have their crappy salad, which is kind of funny. People I know who are Italian American can be very picky about their vegetables and their salad, and that is an iceberg lettuce, crappy tomato,
Right.
onion, oil and vinegar salad. They charge I don't know what they charge now, but overcharge for it.
That's how they like to roll, Charles. But we're getting pretty close to the end of our show here today. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. And on Wednesdays we're going to be doing the First Amendment Forum. Now that summer is over, maybe we'll start doing First Amendment Forum indoors and keep the walkarounds going on Sundays so that people can stay abreast of what is happening in New York City, and we can avoid some of the technical snafus that arise when disconnected, because all these different systems have a variety of different subtleties and nuances to them. And so I want to thank everybody who's made the sponsored platforms available.
Now you're
for
not
Crowdsource the Truth.
you're not doing this so you can end up on 33rd Street, are you?
But you just came out.
Well, we're approaching 33rd Street, but I was just going to encourage people to visit subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We had 2 great episodes on Friday. If people missed David Hawkins' Discovery CSI and John Cullen Investigates, they're still on there. And we have 2 more exciting sponsor exclusive episodes on Monday. Manny Grossman on the trail of Son of Sam. We're going to be back with the great Eric Galati and also retired NYPD detective Mike Cadella with some information that nobody's ever heard before. And we're going to have a special sponsor exclusive episode. It's like a double header of Manny on Monday night. So now is a great time to become a sponsor if you aren't already. By going to subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/sourcethetruth. That cop was giving me the stink eye, Charles, because I think he thought the camera was facing that way.
Yeah, well, let him.
That was, what do you call it, MTA police.
Just as we're closing, do you see that story that apparently Chris Ray, who was diabolically bad and belongs, frankly, under investigation, has decided, the FBI has launched an investigation into one of the foundations that is trying to rescue people in Afghanistan, as opposed to investigate investigating the criminals who caused us to lose Afghanistan.
Wow.
Amazing.
That is. I know that they were obstructing some of those private efforts. I didn't know that they were going to investigate. Man.
But they won't investigate the Clinton Foundation.
It's amazing. Christopher Wray is a disgrace.
Well,
Charles, the other thing that we should talk about is the whole Nortel got hacked by Huawei, and it was a big story in Canada. David Hawkins has spoken about it quite a bit, but it's basically, it's been
They
acknowledged.
we'd had the CFO of Huawei, I think. We wouldn't.
You mean Meng Wanzhou?
Yeah, and now
No, they just decided
I'm
to
saying
just
we
send
had-
her back to China.
we had her, but then they've just caved to get the Canadians freed.
Yeah, they didn't cave. That was a ruse. It was because Justin Trudeau wanted that technology to go to China.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, but the Biden administration caved. They shouldn't have caved. And it's just, how many different signs do you need to understand, as Trump said,
Working
that
for China.
he's compromised? Trump said it right. It's true.
Is this guy taking a picture of you?
I don't know. Probably not. NJ Transit.
I don't mind. Just curious.
That's funny.
Yeah. This smash burger has been opening for a long time. I don't know why you would want to smash a burger.
That's Smash Mouth Burger. It's Joe Biden.
It's been taking a long time to get itself together.
Yeah.
That actually seems like a smart kind of business to open right there, because if someone's going onto or getting off of a train,
Well, I mean,
a burger is the type of thing you think they might want to eat.
in the old days, and I don't know what it's like now, and I'm probably never going to go to one again, but you had in Madison Square Garden a lot of athletic events. You had professional basketball games, hockey, tennis matches. What is it? The Globetrotters. You had, in the
I
day
used
when,
to like the Harlem Globe.
and the circus used to go in there, and all kinds of.
I like the circus too.
You would have thought that people would say, you know what? If we're really concerned about getting people back into health, let's have different gyms around here where you can interact with some. Maybe have a hockey player sponsor one gym.
You can't go to the gym without a mask, though.
But no, instead they have right next to the event, they have Smash Burger. You know, get really, really fat, so you're never going to be able
Well,
to do
that's
that.
the other thing, is that they're not really telling anybody, you know, get on a treadmill, eat a banana. It's like, hey, put down those damn Doritos. Joe Biden would never say that.
Well,
I got to tell you something. You remember a couple weeks ago I was talking about just do 5 push-ups and the next day
Right.
do 6 or whatever.
What
If
are you
the
up to?
president, I did 40 this morning.
wow, one-handed?
Nah.
Not yet.
Well, I don't think those one-handed ones are good, because it's just you're out of balance, and I'm not, what am I, Rocky?
Yeah.
The point is, if the President of the United States said that, so many people would hear it, and a subset of that group would say, you know what, I will do that. It might have some marginal impact on people's physical fitness, or at least get some number of people to start thinking about it. But he's not. He's just every day with the same. How do people not? Oh yeah, see, I'm already getting sucked into it. I can't even say this because we're not in the First Amendment forum. But push-ups are good for you, I think. Somebody told me. So do some. Oh, here's a van of empty police ready to go arrest people. But that's pretty much it, I think, Charles, unless there's anything else you'd like to discuss.
No, let's stay safe this week. It's going to be a very busy, volatile week in many ways. Let's hope we make it through without incident.
That is always the hope. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. Have a great rest of Sunday.